There are weeks that sit differently in the body. Not just long weeks or hard weeks, but the kind where something in the world is happening that you cannot control, cannot fix, cannot look away from. And you just have to be a person in the middle of it, getting on with your life while some part of you is holding something very heavy. Welcome to One Question, a short weekly reflection to help you reconnect with your body, your values, and your truth. This week's question is, where do you feel the weight of the world? I want to tell you about a night earlier this week. I had a plan. The plan was simple and sensible. Go to sleep. There was nothing I could do. The decision whether the United States would bomb Iran or not was not mine to make, not mine to influence, and not mine to stop. I was exhausted. I had had a long day. I got into bed, and I fully intended to go to sleep. And my body had other ideas. I lay there in the dark, and the thoughts came. What will this look like in the morning? What will it mean for me, for my family, for my friends, for that entire part of the world? What will it mean? What will it mean? What will it mean? On loop. Quiet, but relentless. A pit in my stomach that wouldn't shift. So I reached out to my sister. I reached out to my best friend. I needed the tether of another human, another person sitting with that same uncertainty. And then I waited. I waited until the timeline passed, until the decision had been made, and only then could I let myself go to sleep. Even then, I went to sleep with that sinking feeling still in my stomach, and I woke up the next morning feeling almost hungover. Not from anything I'd consumed, but from the weight I'd been carrying through the night, from the anxiety and anticipation that had moved through my body with nowhere to go. And I imagine I'm not alone in that. Here is something that neuroscience has known for a long time, but that many of us are still finding surprising. The body does not distinguish well between a threat that is immediate and a threat that is distant. When we perceive danger, whether it is happening to us directly or happening on the other side of the world, the amygdala, our threat detection center, activates. Stress hormones flood the system, the heart rate raises, digestion slows, muscles tighten, and the body prepares to fight, flee, or freeze. This response evolved to help us survive immediate physical danger. It is an extraordinarily well-designed system for that purpose, but it was not designed for the particular kind of threat that many of us are navigating now. Threats that are real, but often remote, serious, but unresolvable, too large to act on, and too significant to ignore. When the threat doesn't resolve, when there is no action you can take, no decision you can make, no way to discharge the physical energy that stress response has generated, the body stays activated and the loop continues. The pit in your stomach doesn't lift. And over time, this kind of chronic, ambient, unresolved fear takes a genuine physiological toll. This is not weakness. This is not catastrophizing. This is the nervous system doing what it was built to do, but in conditions it was never built for. Psychologists draw a distinction between two kinds of worry that I find really useful. The first is productive worry, the kind that leads you to action. You're worried about a presentation, so you prepare more carefully. You're worried about a relationship, so you have a difficult conversation. The worry is uncomfortable, but it is pointing at something that you can do. It has a function. The second is unproductive worry, the kind that circles without resolution, the kind that activates the body's threat response but offers no outlet, no action, no relief. You are worried about something real and serious that you yourself cannot fix. And the loop runs, the stomach tightens, and there is nowhere for it to go. Research by psychologist Michelle Newman and others on worry and anxiety shows that what we are often doing when we worry unproductively is attempting unconsciously to prepare ourselves for the worst. If I can imagine it vividly enough, it will hurt less when it comes. If I stay vigilant, I will not be caught off guard. The problem is that strategy doesn't work. Anticipatory suffering does not protect us from actual suffering, and it costs us something very real in the meantime. Our rest, our presence, our access to the parts of life that are still good and still ours, and the parts of life where we can take action. So what do we do with a fear we can't fix? I want to be honest here. I don't think there is a clean answer. I don't think there is a practice or a reframe or a piece of wisdom that makes this easy. The world is genuinely uncertain. The things that are happening are genuinely serious. Pretending otherwise, bypassing the weight of it in favor of forced positivity, is not the answer either. But there are things that help, not things that fix, things that help. The first is contact. When I reached out to my sister and my best friend in the middle of that sleepless night, I wasn't looking for them to solve it. I wasn't looking for reassurance that everything was going to be hunky-dory and fine. I was looking for the felt sense of not being alone with it. And that mattered. Research on social support and stress regulation consistently shows that human connection, even brief, even imperfect, has a measurable effect on the nervous system. It's co-regulation, the calming that happens when one nervous system makes contact with another. We are not designed to hold the weight of the world alone. This is not a personal failing. This is how we are built. The second resource is the body itself. When the mind is looping, when things won't stop, when the pit in the stomach just sits there, sometimes the most useful thing to do is drop below the thoughts entirely and simply be in your body. Not to analyze what you're feeling, just to locate it. Where is it sitting? What does it feel like? What is its texture, its temperature, its weight? This is not about making feeling go away. It is about making contact with it, meeting it honestly rather than fighting it or suppressing it or pretending it's not there. And often when we do that, something will shift, even slightly. Not the fear itself, but our relationship to it. We stop being consumed by the loop and start being simply a person who is feeling something difficult. And that is a more bearable place to be. The third thing is a boundary about what is yours. Not in a detached, uncaring way, but in an honest one. The question of what is mine to carry is one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves in times of collective fear. I cannot decide what happens in the world. I cannot protect everyone I love from every consequence of events that I didn't cause and I cannot control. What I can do is stay present, stay connected, take care of myself well enough that I am useful to the people and things that need me. My vote, I can speak, I can show up where showing up matters. The weight of the world is real, but it is not all yours to hold. So, I want to bring us back to the question, because it is doing something specific. Where do you feel the weight of the world? Not what do you think about it, not how do you intellectually process it. Where in your body does it live? For me, this week, it was a pit in my stomach, a low-grade heaviness that just sat there below my ribs and didn't lift. An exhaustion that went beyond what the day had asked of me physically. Your answer will be different. For some people, the weight of the world sits in their shoulders. It's a tightening, a raising, a bracing. For others, it's in their jaw or their throat or their lower back or a restlessness in their legs that won't settle. For some, it arrives as numbness, a going quiet in the body that is its own kind of signal. Whatever it is, it's worth knowing. Because your body is not being dramatic. Your body is being honest. It is telling you something that should matter to you, that you need to pay attention to. It is telling you that you are a person who cares about what is happening in the world, and that caring has a weight, and that weight has to go somewhere. Knowing where it goes is the beginning of being able to tend to it. So this week's question. Where do you feel the weight of the world? Not as an exercise in despair, but as an act of honesty, of self-knowledge, of the kind of attention to your own body that makes it possible to keep going, to keep caring, to keep showing up, and to keep being useful without being flattened by what you're carrying. You are allowed to feel this. You are allowed to reach out, to wait, to go to sleep late and wake up exhausted and still get up and face the day. You are allowed to hold things that are heavy without having to answer for them. And you are also allowed to turn your face to the sun, to find the small things that hold, to let what is good be good, even while what is hard is hard. Both of those things can be true at the same time, and quite frankly, they usually are. Thank you for joining me for one question. Where do you feel the weight of the world? Until next week, be kind to yourself. You don't have to fix what you can't fix. And always ask better questions.